Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm glad to get your phone calls and your emails, too, at 866-HEY-LARS. That's 866-439-5277. Emails go to talk@larslarson.com. If somebody asked me, what subject has come up more often and longer on your program after almost 25 years of doing it, I'd have to say it's illegal aliens and the invasion of America by people who we invite lots of people to come to our country and live here legally, over 1 million people a year, and yet we have other people who seem to not give a damn about the laws of the country, and they come in whether it's legal or not. And an awful lot of America has simply ignored this or said it's not really a problem. Well, now we're facing something new. The Biden administration incoming after the inauguration, I think, is going to take a point of view on immigration to say, okay, we will continue the legal immigration, but we're also going to have virtually an open borders policy at our southern border, and that concerns me a great deal. Mike Howell is a senior advisor for executive branch relations with the Heritage Foundation and former DHS Oversight Counsel. Mr. Howell, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So I've stated it that way. I know that some people say, well, no, Joe says he's not in favor of open borders. Okay, you give us the straight skinny on it. What are we going to see under a Biden administration when it comes to those people who choose to enter the country not through the legal means?
Yeah, so we don't have to do much guesswork on this. Kamala Harris went on Univision, of all places, yesterday and told us what they're going to do. And what they're going to do is introduce legislation. Keep in mind, they're saying they need legislation to do this, so remember that when they try to do it without it later. But basically, the legislation will reward the illegal aliens already in the country, not just with relief from removal, but they'll give them green cards, which basically means they're in the path to getting U.S. citizenship. Additionally, they want to basically get rid of the agreement that we have now whereby migrants traversing through Mexico have to wait in Mexico where their asylum claims are being heard. Now, this makes all the sense in the world because, 9 times out of 10, those claims aren't granted because these people aren't fleeing danger and persecution. They're coming to the U.S. to be economically dependent on our system.
Yep.
And so what we're going to see is basically when we get rid of holding these people in Mexico, they're just going to come in, and they're not going to show up for their court dates. And so we're going to have de facto open borders. They're going to end catch and release. It's going to be absolute chaos, and you know why they're all doing this. It's not because they have a bigger heart than you and me. It's because they think these people will vote for them. And so they're going to do it fast, hard, and huge.
Well, and in fact, they'll have a new dependent class because I've always seen the Democrat Party as a party that depends on a dependent class. That is, I never have earned my money from government. I earn my money in the private sector. But if I was dependent on food stamps, welfare, Section 8, Medicaid, the whole long list of things, and then I was asked, how are you going to vote? Well, I'm going to vote for the people who keep those benefits coming, and I'm going to vote effectively against the people who might threaten to cut them off. That means the Democrats will get your votes, and the Republicans will not, for the most part. So you're right. They're creating a new class of people because they need to have that to stay in office. And it's really a sleazy deal as far as I'm not just incestuous, but to say, I've got a bunch of people and they always vote for me every election. Why is that? Because they know I'll keep the goodies coming. And they know that the minute they stop voting for me, the goodies stop coming. And I know that the minute I stop, getting the goodies for that group, I'm going to lose their vote. So it's a relationship. It's just not a very valid relationship.
You're absolutely right, and I'll take it one step further. It's grossly un-American. It's sacrificing our national sovereignty, our safety, our culture, our cohesion, go down the line, all for political power. The American people don't want this. When the American people are asked on matters of immigration whether they want more or less, or if they favor strong border security, they always answer that they want less and more stronger border security. No one's asking the American people their permission on this. They're sold a false bill of goods. And then this goes on to basically increase permanent political power. It's selling our sovereignty, and it's selling it for very cheap. And, the costs to us are enormous. So illegal aliens aren't necessarily, eligible for federal welfare benefits, but when they become citizens by the magic wave of the wand of Congress, they certainly will be. And there's also these downstream effects on our communities, on our jail systems, our public safety systems, our classrooms. And then keep in mind the effects of, we're coming out of the pandemic, hopefully. And there's a competition going on, and we're adding all this pressures going on, and it's really tough. It's unfortunate. It's a raw deal for the American people, and that's exactly why they're doing it. And so I think this needs to be called out, and needs to be called out loudly and aggressively.
I'm talking to Mike Howell, who's senior advisor and also former oversight counsel for DHS. He's now with Heritage. One other thing, back me up on this, unless I'm wrong. This isn't talking about Donald Trump's policies. I know the media like to call it that. Donald Trump's policies on immigration. The federal laws that govern immigration actually say we've got a bias in favor of people who are not likely to become a public charge, which is lawyer speak for they're not going to end up on welfare, that they're self-sufficient. They're not necessarily rocket scientists or Nobel Prize winners, but when they come in, they have some capacity to support themselves and their family. You know, they have some skills, they have some talents, and they're able to do that. And people who do not fit in that category, are not welcome to come in or less welcome to come in. That's what's written in the law, and it was there a long time before Donald Trump arrived, right?
You're absolutely right. And in fact, the law since Trump's been in office hasn't changed on the immigration front. The Republican Congress, in the first half of his first term, wouldn't give him any of the changes that he asked for. The swamp always wins. And the immigration laws largely have been the same for decades. And so all Trump did was enforce the laws as they're written and enter into these novel agreements with third, what we call safe third countries, foreign countries, to house migrants. They're going to throw all that out of the book and seek to do more and go a step further by the largest by a huge degree, amnesty for illegal aliens already in the country. This is something unthinkable. We've done it before, unfortunately, during the Reagan administration. Reagan granted amnesty about 3 million people, through the Congress,
reluctantly,
in exchange for what he thought was border security. But now we're talking about, people say there's around 11 million in the country, illegal aliens right now. We don't know how many illegal aliens are in the country. They won't let us count. They won't let us count because they know the number is going to be a lot higher than 11 million and what people think. And so it's going to be huge. It's going to fundamentally change all parts of our society, and especially, the voting, demographics in this country. And it's really going to make for a much different country, and they hope it'll give them permanent and, an iron-fisted grasp on the political process.
In a less hardcore issue, Mike's the former oversight counsel at DHS, is that when you come from a largely socialist country, whether it's Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, other South American countries, you may come to the new country and say, hey, I'd like to have some of those same things that we enjoyed in that country. In other words, you want socialism here. I think most Americans do not want that. Mike, thanks so much. I appreciate you coming on. That's Mike Howell from the Heritage Foundation. Glad to have you with me, even on this day when the House of Representatives, along with all Democrats and 10 Republicans, have voted to impeach Donald Trump. But we've already heard from Mitch McConnell in the Senate. There will be no trial until after Inauguration Day. And I'd point out, the Senate has no authority to hold a trial for a private citizen, only for a president.